Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cosmic Maps. This is a live series that we are doing here in the Joy Mohami, aka Warrior Mistress School. Yes. And today we are going to be doing Ascension parts, false ascension metrics versus true ascension metrics. So say hello when you join in. Let me know that you are here. This is going to be one of those conversations that I believe are really super important, So I hope you can join in and open your heart to receive what I'm going to be contemplating today. Also, I find it actually a very interesting and almost like a hard map to teach publicly. I've taught this in the Warrior Mistress School for many years now. I love teaching this. I really think it's like really super important. But I understand that, it can either sometimes be a bit like overwhelming for those who are hearing this concept for the first time, or a little scary, or just very difficult to hear because, sometimes we may find that we may have been in a path that we didn't really want to be in and we didn't even know. So I'm going to really try to be as concise as I can possibly be and, support you on this path so that you enter the stream of organic and true ascension by the end, right? Yay, thank you, Bongile. Amazing. I literally had to put on some incense because there is like this cosmic impulse happening that is active right now. I don't know if you're feeling it, like there's just been a higher frequency in the field, in the collective field. And I am going to be writing a field report for May coming soon, so you look out for that in my newsletter where I'm gonna share a couple of things. But the last 2 days have been quite intense for me as an oracle, where there is like a high level of that cosmic presence. And I've been sleeping all day in and out. So I just literally woke up to come and do this live stream. And I need to wake up a little bit. So got my incense here and my water here. All right. So let me know in the chat, what is the current spiritual belief system that you are operating from, or at least that you are currently exploring, right? Are you exploring religion, either Christianity or other forms of religious systems that we have in the world? Are you currently exploring indigenous spiritualities like African spirituality or other more earth-based spiritual system? Are you maybe New Age spirituality? You're exploring the different, how do you even define the New Age? But the New Age spirituality, which is like a mixture of all these different systems just coming together, and it's this quadrant, right? Is that like your spiritual system that you are exploring, or are you in the Ascension system? Or it could actually be all of them, or you're like, I actually haven't yet decided, I'm just like exploring right now. I'm asking this so that I can concise our conversation to the collective that is here today with me, those of you who are live with me, so that I can speak to your system, right? So as an Ascension guide, I have been exploring today's topic in the different systems, right? So, and I see the different ways it manifests in each system, in religion, in indigenous spiritualities, in the New Age, in the Ascension or cosmic community, right? So, okay, so you are in Ascension. Great. Yeah. So a mixture of soul. Where are you finding yourself, like, cultivating or listening to or like being drawn to? We are often in a season. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I think I'm going through the season of African spirituality. And then sometimes it's like, I feel like I'm exploring Ascension. Another time is like, I feel like I'm exploring Christianity, esoteric Christianity, traditional Christianity, or whatever it is, right? So, yes, okay, so we've got some indigenous spirituality in their house, African spirituality. There is interest in tarot, in Reiki, okay, great. So, predominantly African spirituality. I expected that it would be predominantly African spirituality. Okay. In this way, we can contextualize what we're talking about today to the collective. But it seems like there is mainly African spirituality and a little bit of New Age here, right? And yeah, and maybe some of the Ascension spiritualities. Okay. Great. Whew. Yes. Okay. Let's jump to today. Let's be in conversation. Like I said, this is like one of those difficult conversations to do in an open space like Instagram. But I'm here. We're gonna do it. Okay. So Ascension path, and today we're going to be looking into false Ascension metrics and true Ascension metrics, right? So at the get-go, let's define what Ascension is, right? Maybe this is the first time you're hearing of this word and you're like, okay, I have no idea what it is. I actually figure like, yeah, that may be, yeah, a thing happening, right? So the Ascension is essentially a reckoning, a reunification, like reuniting with the eternal divine. And this is a reckoning, a reunification that's happening because if you remember from all the spiritual systems of our planet, all of them, they have a story of the fall of mankind, right? In religious systems that would be, in Christianity, the only religious system I know is Christianity, would be in Genesis where they talk about the fall, right? In African spirituality, they do talk about the fall from a different lens where it was a choice by our ancient ancestors to move from the higher heavens to come to this world, which is a physical world, right? So we do know that somewhere in our history, there was a point of falling into physicality where we became more physical and less spiritual, right? And a part of it is actually part of cosmic evolution or cosmic development, right? So just like the way that a child grows, like there is all these developments that you go through. So a planet also does that, where it goes through going into deeper states of matter or physicality. So our planet did that, and that is recognized as the fall. So now, today, as we are speaking, we are at a point where our earth is evolving back now to its spiritual form, right? It's transforming to what it used to be. So that would be ascension, ascending, going up. I'm saying it's going up, but the actual process is actually the opposite of that. It's that the spirit, the divine, is coming into the earth, and as that's happening, that's making the earth more and more spiritual, which is also what's happening to us because we are the cells of the earth, right? So we are being spiritualized. So what's happening is the spiritualization of the DNA of the human being, right? So that is what ascension is. And it's a process that everyone is in, right? So that ascension is part of what made a lot of us wake up and have all these curious ideas of like, who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? What are spirits? And all the questions that led to you being here today with me, listening, right? They were all part of this it's a impulse, a natural impulse that is happening. And yet last week when we talk about the initiatory protocols, I spoke about how initiation it's a process that happens from the spirit realm. And that is because it's like almost like this alchemical process, a coalition that is happening from the sun that creates awareness. It's like the veil between our world and the higher worlds is dropping each year. And you've noticed that, right? Like a lot of people shared about how they've been feeling sleepy, crying because of that cosmic impulse that's also unveiling, right? That's the other thing, that ascension is an unveiling. It's also what is called disclosure. And in extreme cases, people will call it like Armageddon, like the end of worlds, the end of the age, the end, the Mayan calendar was speaking about that, which is why during 2012 we have all that big event of this is the end of the world. Christians call it the rapture, right? That rapture, all of these concepts, they are already happening, right? They're really just us returning to our divinity, becoming more spiritual. And when we say we're becoming more spiritual, not, oh, I'm more spiritual, I know things, but you are a spiritual being now. You are not just a physical, you don't just see yourself as a physical being. So that is what ascension is, right? So as I said, this process is happening and being facilitated by the cosmic impulses of the suns, the trinities of the suns, or you could also think of it as like God, our Father God, Mother God, the heavenly beings of light are facilitating this process, and it's happening through you, right? And so for me, I see ascension as more and more of the Holy Spirit coming and being embodied in you, so that you function as the spiritual being that you are, as the eternal divine being that you are, right? So that is what ascension is. And this ascension, there are many paths that you can take, but most of them, it doesn't matter which religion or which spiritual system you are in, there are actually two distinct pathways in which you can awaken and return to God, to the eternal divine, or that is the pure essence, right? That these two paths. And one of that path will be the true path. It is an organic path, a natural path, where you are actually following the natural process that's happening, and you're not fighting it, you're not trying to manipulate it or whatever, you're just allowing it to happen and you're not resisting it. And then the second path will be the false path, where we are trying to manipulate this process, and we're trying to kind of bypass natural laws or God's sovereign laws, right? So we're going to talk about these two paths and how they manifest. The thing about these two paths is that sometimes when we're not aware, we may not recognize that we are in a false path of ascension, or we're in a true path, right? So today, this is what I want us to understand, because it actually matters which path you are in. Remember, I said that we are being initiated by the cosmic beings and cosmic impulses. So if you're going through this initiation, I also spoke about how initiation is just similar to a school. And really, actually, Earth could also be thought of as a school. Some other people have a different interpretation of that, but I like to think of it as a school, Earth, right? And what do we do in schools? We literally go to learn, we have classes, and then by the end of the school year, there is a test that you take, and you pass when you get the certain number, and you fail if you get a lower number, right? So as above, so below. So this is also happening spiritually. We can pass our initiation as an individual. You can pass the spiritual initiation that you are in, which is your life. Your life is your initiation. Your life is the modules of your school, your whichever course you've taken when you came on earth. There were different subjects. You chose different subjects, and in each subject there are classes you are taking, modules you are taking, and you are constantly actually being given tests, and then you pass. And eventually the idea is for you to pass, and the idea is to pass with to get the best number, just like how we all desire to pass, do really well, right? And that passing is what we call becoming an ascended master, becoming a master. You master the earth experience, right? That's what we're all doing here, really. It's literally a school. We have to pass. There is an initiation, right? So there's so much to say about that, but I gotta move fast. Because there's so many ideas. So if we think of it as a school and there's an initiation you're going through, your whole life is an initiation, and all of these experiences are your challenges, then that means that, whatever experiences you're going through are initiating you closer to God, or they kind of pull you back away from God. And obviously we know what kind of experiences open us up more and more to be eternal divine, and which ones close our hearts out, right? So this is why we move through these moments of feeling so divine and connected, and also where you feel like you are dying, your ego is dying. It's part of ascension. That's what's happening, right? Yes, we are definitely in the process of ascension. So this topic is like so vast, so I have to go to specific points because, we will be here all night. All right. So we understand what ascension is. We understand that there are two paths that you can take. I want to define something that's really important that is connected to which pathway you are in, right? So there is a place called the Astral Realm. Astral Realm, right? The Astral Realm is a vast realm between our world and maybe what we will call the beginning of the heavenly realms, right? So this is our world, the heavenly realms, multidimensional realms, and then this part here in between is called the astral realm. It is actually like a bridge, right? This astral realm is vast. It's like a world of its own. It's really vast. In the astral realm, every night we explore the astral realm. This is where your subconscious realm is existing, where subconscious memories, ancestral memories are existing here in the astral realm. So when you go to sleep, you're actually in the bridge, in between realms, right? That's what's happening. And at the same time, when you come to earth, as a baby, your soul travels from the heavenly realms and it passes the astral, because this is the bridge, and then you incarnate into the earth. And the same is true when you die. When you die, you will pass the astral realm, right? So the astral realm is a huge important part of our spiritual initiation. This is how our ancestors of light are able to communicate with us, our angels, our team, our support team, our ascension team. They use this bridge to communicate with your soul and to initiate and to support you, right? However, this astral realm, as I mentioned, it is where memory is stored. It's where this is the path souls take when they come to the earth. It's the path. It's not the same path. They are, like I said, it's vast. There is a path of the dreams. There is a part of the astral that is about death, part of the astral that is about babies coming in. And then there's a part of the astral realm that has spirits that we may call ghosts or bounded spirits, or spirits that did not pass that initiation. And so they kind of like need to repeat, or they are also just, most of the time it's not so much about passing the initiation with these spirits, but they are souls that are in pain, that got fragmented, that are stuck in the ego. And so because of that, instead of them going to the higher realms, they just get stuck here and they kind of stay there and they chill. And this is not a place for staying as a soul. It's a journey you take. You're supposed to go back up or come in. if you stay here, you end up eventually literally starving, because there's no light here, there's no sun, the sun is not residing here. So you end up starving, and because of that, you kind of have to find ways to literally survive. And what do you need? You need light, right? And this is a very scary story, but it is what kind of like happens. Not really, but yeah, just to give you an idea. So this story that I'm talking about is how trickster spirits are created. What is called false light beings, right? What we may call fallen angelics, fallen ancestors, fallen ETs, fallen interdimensionals, whatever race that being is, if it did not allow itself to go to the higher realms, it gets stuck. It is stuck here. It is in separation from God and the higher realms. And so because of that, it has to find ways to sustain itself. And a lot of the time, unfortunately, whether they do that is to steal from the collective human race, to steal our light. So these are what we call false light beings. And these false light beings, what they do then is to steal your light through kind of like tricking you, particularly us, those who are in the spiritual community, who are awakening, who are trying to connect with our organic, natural ancestors of light, right? So these trickster spirits, they will pretend to be the true light or your true guides, but they are really not. And all of that is to take your energy from you. It's actually, they're like really like vampires, like vampiric energies, parasitic energies, or spirits or beings, right? And so when you are waking up sometimes and you don't yet understand that not every spirit is of the light, the true light of God, and that not every spirit has pure intentions for your evolution. It doesn't want to really help you. It actually wants to steal from you, to siphon your light. Your body of Christ that you are building as you are healing, it wants to take that. Yeah, so that's energy vampires, Rachel, as you're sharing, right? So this is happening in the astral realm, and these beings, because they're outside our physical earth, they're able to shapeshift and present themselves as our ancestors. They present themselves as your angelic team. They present themselves as your starseed family, cosmic families, right? And all of this is to trick you and to keep you in a false ascension. You think you are ascending because you're communicating with this being in your meditations, in your practices, and they give you some guidance, right? And it's not always bad guidance, because they used to be aspect of God, so they know it's someone tricking you. You've seen here on this planet when someone tries to trick you, they will give you something that will hook you in, right? So false light being is essentially beings that project that they are of the light, but are not really of the light. So it's a falsehood that you are in, right? So this is something that happens across all spiritual systems. In African spirituality, in the New Age, in religions, Christianity, in Ascension, like a being can come and say, I am the Elohim, I am Pleiadian, I am your ancestor, I am an angel, I am Jesus Christ, but it's not, because we have forgotten. When the fall happened of man, we forgot what I'm sharing, we forgot these teachings, we forgot how vast the multidimensional reality is. So a lot of us, we come to this with a very simplified idea of the higher worlds. I think a lot of us, I don't even know what we think. I mean, I went through this process of awakening to this, and when this was like revealed to me, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't see that, or I didn't even think about that. And it's like, it makes sense that it wouldn't be like the higher worlds are not just pure worlds. They're not just of the true light. They are, and so that means even beings who are from these places, they're not all of God, right? So a lot of us, we are initiated through this astral realm, The truth is, at some level, every one of us, we are going to encounter a false light being. So there's no need to feel shame or fear, because it's also a part of initiation and part of the test that you have to go through. And also, these beings, some of them used to be related to us. They're part of our lineages, right? Yeah, so, and so there is sometimes a healing that has to happen between you and that false light being. The only issue is that for most of us, we don't know this. So we can literally get stuck in a false ascension matrix. So I want to define what what false ascension is and what true ascension is. Right? So false ascension is you find yourself in your spiritual system that you are in, and you learn all the things, and you connect with the different beings that you're supposed to connect with, your ancestors or your angels or Christ and so on. And you are devoted, and you do certain practices that are aligned with African spirituality. You go to the mountains and so forth. You go to church and you sing and all of that. And when you are praying and when you're doing that, there can be a certain level of peace that you experience, right? And a certain level of connection. But the thing is, this connection, these practices, they never last long. You can literally be in church and feel so connected to the Holy Spirit and immediately get in your car and literally start shouting at the guy who almost hit you or something like that. That you were not able to sustain your eternal divinity. When we are in false ascension, we are basically in some kind of illusion that we are growing closer to God, to the divine, but we're actually not, and we're kind of like in a loop, going in a circle, and there's never really like actual growth, right? And we keep finding ourselves coming back and back to that same place. And one of the ways in which we find ourselves in false ascension is that these are the ways in which you can know if you may be in a false ascension, right? One, you would be, like I said, you keep finding yourself repeating the same patterns. Like there is a certain level of healing that happens sometimes, and then you still go back to the same place. You still go back to the depression, to the anxiety, to the same patterns as before. So there's never ever not even resolution, but like a true purification that takes place. And often the reason why that is because, remember I said healing actually comes from the divine. And so if you are connected to a false light being, and this false light being, they're actually disconnected from the light, and they don't have good intentions. They are parasitic, they are thieves, they may be what we call evil, and so on. And then this energy is projecting and saying that it's there to help you, to heal you, but it's taking your light from you. Then you're not going to get better, right? If you're not getting better, then there must be something. We're supposed to get better in the presence of God. So why are we not getting better? Why are we not getting better when we're connecting with our ancestors, right? They're supposed to help us, but the situation keeps getting worse and worse and worse, right? So this is not exclusively to say, oh, I have not healed, so this means I'm in false ascension. It's much more complex than that. But I want to give you guys like an example of like what to look for. So that would be one thing where you are not getting better. And then the second thing is false ascension beings or false light beings. They particularly like this very abnormal hierarchical ideologies and system. They like worship. They love to be worshipped, and they love for you to keep giving and giving to them. So whenever we are within a spiritual system and we fall into a frequency of, I must do this for my ancestors, I must do this for Jesus Christ, I must do this for the angels, I must do this for this God, then our energy is being poured not into our healing, not into our purification, not into the soul knowing itself as a divine being, not into God, but into another being, right? That I must, I must pray to Jesus and thank him for his presence and so on. Like your energy is diverted away from you, right? Because worship It's like, yeah, that template is really horrible, but it's a false ascension map. It is literally a tool that is used, that has gotten humanity trapped for a really, really long time in never ever really growing beyond us just being told what to believe. And we take it as that, and that's the end. And then we're saying, I have found my salvation, I found my reckoning, I am growing, I'm becoming a master. When what you're doing is literally, you're just like in a loop of giving your energy all the time to something else, something external, right? So that's how we know we are in a false ascension. Thing is, do you know that the true divine God does not require your worship? Why? Why would the true living divine eternal require your worship? This being that is the primordial being that has created you and this entire vast multi-universe really needs you to worship it every single day? These ancestors, which are your elders, if you think of yourself right now as a future ancestor, would you really, really want your future grandchildren to literally always be begging and asking you, and then someday as an ancestor you're going to be like, I don't feel like giving you that thing, you must gravel more and more and more, you must kill a cow for me, you must do this and this and this? Does that make sense? Like, just from a logical point of view, it doesn't make sense. When you love someone, you want to help them, so our ancestors should want to help us. But this is not to say that our ancestors or the divine spirits do not have a hierarchy. They do. There is a natural hierarchy. There is also definitely eldership. Eldership is respect, botu, ubuntu, where you recognize that someone has passed the initiation and they can guide you in a certain way. And sometimes because someone is standing on top of the mountain, they see things you can't see. So sometimes they say no, not as to punish you, but to say, it's not time yet. You need to cultivate this and this and this. So this is not to say our ancestors are supposed to give us everything we want, but it has to come from love. Like an elder who understands, like your mom, when you tell her that you are going out as a 10-year-old to the movies and you're coming back at midnight, and she tells you, no, you're not going to the movies. That's eldership, right? That is someone who knows the dangers of this world, right? So they're not going to allow you to do that. That, what I'm talking about, is true light beings. True light beings can say no to you, not to punish you, not because you didn't do something for them. First of all, true light beings do not need anything from you. It is their duty, their honor, their love, and their devotion to support you as their child, as part of their family. Right? The way you want to help people, you want to help your friends, and you don't expect anything really from them. Right? Of course, yeah, you can kind of like be like, hey, say thank you, I helped you. Yeah, that they can do that. Your ancestors can be like, child, you never say thank you to us. You know, like, of course, like we can think of it that way. But what I'm talking about here is a very weird type of energy that feels very much like you must give, right? And that there is a punishment, right? And there's a judgment. You didn't do this. You didn't go up higher in the mountain, so we're not going to give you, right? That is a false ascension matrix. And you have to recognize it based on the system that you are in. And in church, this false ascension plays out just generally human beings worshiping that pastor, giving that pastor all the money, because there is this weird belief that through this pastor, only God blesses this pastor, and only through me showing my reverence to this pastor, worshiping this pastor, can I also receive blessings. That is like a very weird kindergarten way of thinking of a grand supreme being. That a supreme being will be like, I bless certain children, and then others must earn this. Like, you as a parent, do you do that to your children? Do you say, only if you really want money from me, you must always ask this sibling. Only this sibling can speak to me. Everyone else can't, right? That's like from a religious point of view. In African spirituality, this is the ideas of, that ancestors require that you do ritual after ritual after ritual. that you are going through a heartbreak because the ancestors are punishing you, that you might die if you don't answer your calling. The ancestors are going to punish you because you didn't answer your calling. That is not true ancestors. We're talking about false light beings that are masquerading and pretending to be your true ancestors because they thrive on your fear. And they thrive when you are disempowered. What happens is actually when human beings enter a state of pain, we actually start to emit these lights, photonic lights out of us, like almost like sweat. And these photonic lights can be kind of like taken and utilized by other beings outside you, right? Outside your energetic force. And so this is why there's this energy of falsehood in our world and in the spiritual systems that we have, because keeping us in confusion, keeping us in fear, keeping us in shame and in worship programming, it literally keeps us, constantly, literally emitting this body light, the light within us, our true light of God, literally constantly being taken away, and we end up getting depleted, getting sick, getting just discouraged and just disillusioned by your spiritual journey. How many of us have been on this journey? You've been reading the books, you've been going to church, you've been cleansing at the river, you've been doing your new moon rituals, not new moon, full moon rituals, and you've been putting your crystals out and your patterns. You're still in the same patterns. You're still in the same situations that you've been in for years. You're still sick. You're still not well mentally. You're still not well spiritually. Right? What's happening there? What's happening is that the false ascension matrix is like this very weird, it's like a grid. Actually, I've seen this with my spiritual eyes. Think of it as a grid that literally plugs our consciousnesses. If you've ever watched The Matrix, your consciousness is plugged into a false belief system, and you literally give it energy through your devotion to that false belief system. And you never really truly ascend. You get stuck there. And sometimes you're given illusions that you're growing, but you are not. Right? So that is the false ascension matrix. And the false ascension matrix, it is particularly very active with spiritually gifted people, because we are the ones who are consciously trying to cultivate a relationship with the spirit realm. So they plug that matrix in, and then at the very beginning of your awakening, they kind of like distract you by giving you all these spiritual practices that you need to do, that you keep doing, but you're still confused. You're still not sure who the true ancestors are. You're still not sure really about, am I really seeing right, or what's going on? Your psychic development is not really going anywhere year after year, right? In the Ascension community, the cosmic community, that comes as these channelings of, I'm talking to the Syrians, and that this is the message to you, humanity. We love you. We are your brothers. We will come and save you, right? Always some being coming outside claiming they will save us. They never do. All the time in all that channelings, they always come back and change the story. Always, we will save you in 2025. 2025 comes. We would clearly, definitely come in 2033. Never come, right? Because they're distracting us from understanding that you are inside an initiation school. Only you are being initiated. Only you get to take the test, which means you are the one who can save yourself. And so true ascension is understanding that you are in a journey of your spirit. You are cultivating your spirituality. You are spiritualizing yourself. You're moving yourself from just being a physical being to a spiritual being, which is your true heritage and your true essence. And that process is happening in all levels of yourself. And beings outside can come and share with you what, like guidance and messages, of course, but they are not taking the test for you. And your test, as much as it may be about other people, as in like coming into forgiveness with the people who have trespassed against you, and you come into self-forgiveness in ways you trespass against yourself. This is not really about like you owe someone, some being, something, and only once you've paid that back, that's when you will be a spiritual being, right? This is about alchemizing yourself. It's about, one, healing the self, particularly healing the mental body and the emotional body, the physical body as well. But I want to highlight these two because this is the most neglected, but they're actually the important. The mental, how you think, what you believe is literally what's going to determine whether you can be fooled by a false light being or not. Right? And this is nothing to be ashamed of. So many of us, our mind has been really messed up with, especially from childhood, with what we were told about reality. And so a lot of our work is to unlearn all the belief system that we've inherited and we took in, we learned growing up, that facilitated this false light, false ascension metrics, that graded it, that planted it in your life, right? So a lot of that has to do with you. Literally, you have to relearn what Christ is. You have to relearn what God is. You have to relearn what the ancestors is. And you have to move away from thinking that other people can tell you, because I can tell you for all you could listen to me every day right now. But at the end of the day, when you are in the astral realm, joy won't be there, your pastor won't be there, your mentor won't be there. And when a being comes and they say, I am your great-grandmother, you would have to have the spiritual eye, the spiritual discernment to know if this is true or not. And that's only done through cultivation. And that's only done by literally you removing everything that makes it harder for you to see, everything veiling your eyes. And that includes what you believe. If you believe that every spirit that comes and they say that your grandmother, they are your grandmother, then you won't be able to discern, right? Then you would just believe that, right? So true ascension is honestly taking responsibility. And this is one of the things that they got us, because a lot of people don't like to be responsible for things. We want to be told, how do I ascend? And then we want to take the steps as someone told us. We don't want to do it ourselves. One of the things I've noticed, if you've ever come to me, you say, hey, Joy, do you do readings? You always hear me say, no, I don't do readings, because I do not like the way in which humans attach themselves to the idea of someone else can tell me my future, what's going to happen, and so on. I can do readings, yes, but I'm more interested in helping you have your own inner journey, to learn how to read your timelines, to learn how to read yourself, right? That is true ascension. True ascension, your guides, spiritual guides, your ancestors, your angels, your Christ, they are there to teach you how to do it yourself. That's what an elder does, right? When your mother was teaching you how to cook pap for the first time, they just said, okay, look at me while I cook. Okay, maybe the first time they do that, but the second time they have to ask you to do it yourself, and then they will tell you, oh no, that's too much salt, or that's too much water, or whatever, right? That's what a guide does. If your guide, whether that's a physical teacher, if you're constantly just in observation, you're witnessing joy channel for you, your ancestors that are saying they love you, and you're like, oh, that's so great, oh, wonderful. And then you say you are ascending. Joy is the ascent, or probably not, because I'm probably just fooling you. Well, not really. I'm just saying the point is, true guardianship is mentorship, and this is to allow you, to guide you to do the thing yourself. This guiding you to do the thing yourself, it doesn't only have to be for healers. I've noticed people think it's only for those who are interested to be healers. No, in your spiritual journey, even if you don't ever intend to be a healer, you have to know that you have to have the desire to actually learn, how can I connect myself to my team? How can I cultivate and know the difference between a true being and a false being, right? So that I can do it myself, right? And that's what initiation is, right? So in true ascension, your elders of light that are guiding you, they are interested in guiding you, facilitating the process, not showing you, not doing the job for you, right? So your ancestors, your true ancestors, they're not going to say, oh, child, kill the cow for us, and then all the issues you have in your marriage are gone. Nope, that don't make sense. That does not at all resonate with anything we've ever experienced on this earth. There has never ever been where the teacher said, please just kill the cow for me and you have passed all your tests. Never happened. There is nowhere the boss said that, just do this one thing for me and then you are healed. Never. Right? So why will these spiritual beings suddenly do that? Just do this one thing and you will be healed. Just say my name and you'll be healed. Wow. That is false ascension, right? So true guides, they show you, they guide you. You have to recognize whatever pattern you're trying to heal. It is obviously in the DNA, you inherited it. It's not going to be healed one time. So this illusion that if I just do a ritual or I go to the river that one time, then I'm going to get a job. I see people do that. Oh, I got a job. Of course, sometimes doing a ritual can undo a knot that was in your destiny, for sure. It can really liberate you. You can have miraculous healing. This is what I'm interested in. Here I'm talking about sustainability. Have you noticed that you could actually go to the river, you get the job, and you feel really great for 2 weeks. After that, things kind of go down the spiral until one day you find yourself back again. You lost the job because that model is not sustainable, because it did not change the thing that matters. There are two things that matters in spiritual journey in ascension: your heart and your mind. Did the heart get changed? Did your mind get changed? Did you experience the miracle in the mind? Did you experience the miracle in the heart? Or it was just your body that was cleansed and then there was a miracle in the body? But the body won't be able to sustain that miracle. It can't keep it if your mind is not on board, if your heart is not on board. That's why it collapses, right? So the true ascension is actually the thing everyone likes to avoid. It is the hard stuff. It's having to go heal the heart. It's having to come and unlearn and literally expand your mind and merge your mind with the mind of God, which is not actually something human beings like. We like our own single mind because I just want to think the way I think. The way I think is the right way, right? So that is the difference between true ascension and false ascension. I hope that makes sense. So with all of this, then if I find that I may be in the false ascension matrix right now, what do I do? Like, how do I move forward, right? The way we move forward is healing the subtle bodies, healing the heart, healing the mind, healing the emotional body, and healing the mental body, the physical body, and the spiritual body. This is why in What I Mystery School, for me, it's literally impossible for me to help you with anything without addressing your heart, without addressing your mind, without addressing your spirit. If I do that, I am a false teacher. I am a false prophet. And people can be false teachers, false prophet without knowing that they are. And they're not trying to do it out of malicious intent. It's just what has happened in this world where we have been disconnected from true spiritual education. Our mystery teachings were taken from us. So many of us, we find ourselves in, when I talk to people who are finding themselves interested in many things, I'm interested in this, I want to do yoga, I want to do tarot, I want to do Reiki, I want to do this, whatever it is, that impulse within you, obviously it's part of you that is multidimensional, so there's nothing wrong with that. But that impulse has been used against us. Because you see, how many of us know what Reiki is? We don't know who started Reiki. We don't know how it's really functioning. How many of us really, really know what yoga is and these yoga mantras are? How many of us really know the origins of tarot and how they function? How many of us really know the what we're doing when we pata? Do we understand why we're calling the names, right? Why we're starting with what we're starting, right? So what the New Age has done, and even sometimes, the Ascension community, where it's like, I'm connecting with my cosmic family, the Syrians and the Pleiadians, and it's very blissful. So what you want to be aware of with Force Ascension is that two directions in your spirituality. You either become too focused on the spirit realm and you are deep in your meditations, you're having blissful experiences in the starships with the Pleiades, you are, chanting your yogi mantras and you're doing your tarot. It's all very blissful. You constantly are kind of like on a bliss drug, right? Whenever you feel sad, you go open your tarot and a wonderful message comes in and you feel so good, right? When you're not feeling great, you listen to something that makes you feel good, right? That is also Force Ascension. It keeps you in the illusion that you're doing something that's healing or sustainable, but it's actually not really you actually healing. You are running away, but you are running away going to the spirit realm, right? And it's not to say these spirit experiences are not real. They are real. It's just that they are distracting you from doing the work. And that's the danger of the New Age spirituality, which is why some people are like anti the New Age, right? It's that you focus too much in the spirit realm. And then in African spirituality, why people critique African spirituality is because we can focus too much in the earth, in like going to the cleansings and doing these rituals, very earth material activities, right? Or if the moment I cleanse, I put my palaza, right? Once I do that, everything's going to be okay. Or I had a fight with that, I gotta go to the river, gotta go to the mountain, right? So this is not to say these activities are not real and they don't have a function and they don't have power. They do. It's the way we use them to distract ourselves from actually addressing the thing. Because you see, if you are fighting with your beloved and your first thought is, I gotta go to my Sangoma and find out what's going on, which force is bewitching us, and I gotta go cleanse, you literally didn't do the first step of, I think me and my beloved, we gotta have a heart-to-heart. And I gotta hear him or her, what they're going through, and I'm gonna listen and I'm gonna share my part, and we're gonna cry if we have to, and we're gonna maybe slightly fight or get in a mean-ass fight. Sorry, I said that word, but yeah. Energy, oh my God. But yes, we're gonna go into a big fight, and then we're gonna resolve and we're gonna enter a state of forgiveness. And this heaviness I feel is gonna dissolve, and my heart will be pure, will be as light as a feather. That is the first point. But how many of us try to run away, not deal with the emotion, right? And with the beloved, actually, most people are probably doing that. Let's talk about when it's your mother or when it's your father. How many of us have been programmed to not even deal with the pain we feel from our mother and our father? Instantly you shut down, your nervous system collapses, you don't say anything, you go watch Netflix, later tomorrow you go talk to your friend and you cleanse and you process it in however way, but never ever addressing that with the person who that event happened with, right? true healing is that it's uncomfortable, it's very difficult, sometimes it sucks, but that's what is required when we're doing true ascension, right? That we actually have difficult conversation, we actually process, and yet then when we do the meditation is to open your heart even more. The meditation is to heal the grief, the whatever journeys you are taking to your ancestors, you go talk about this pain. We're not just going to our ancestors to just meet them for, please tell me a message about my life. Please give me this. I need the job. Give me the job. Instead of saying, ancestors, I've not been getting the job. What is in my heart that is stopping me from receiving? What is in my mind? What have I inherited that is stopping me from receiving? We barely ever ask the right question. We only just want solutions from our guides, right? Which is why we can get really stuck in that, because the false light being is just going to tell you, my child, just go to the mountain and it's going to be fixed. But your true guides, they will tell you, you're not getting the job because you don't believe you're worthy of receiving it. And this is something you received from your grandmother or your grandfather because he went to war and he lost his legs, and ever since he felt worthless as a human being. So you have his pain in you, and we need to help you heal that pain, to process it for that grandfather, right? So that's what true ascension is. And we need to unplug ourselves from the false ascension, where we constantly want to simplify things and we think the prayer is enough, the partnering is enough, the meditation is enough, talking to our galactic family is enough, right? And we have to do the deep work of actually processing and learning to feel and transmuting, because you are so powerful. This is why these false light beings are attracted to you. You're so powerful. Your light, that same light that is being diverted out of you, is supposed to be going into the heart to heal it, going into the mind to heal it. So instead of going within in the kingdom, because the kingdom of God is within, we're going outside. So that keeps us stuck. We don't graduate, right? So we want to do that. Yeah, so in your ascension path, what you are called to do is to what we call wielding the sword of noble sovereignty. This is what we call this in Wara Mystery School. In our membership, that's what we're teaching you to do. How to literally walk the valley of the shadow, which is the astral realm, by the way. That valley has all shadows. Some of those shadows belong to you. You're meant to actually deal with them. Because if you don't deal with them when you're supposed to cross over, it's going to be so hard, it's so heavy for you that you get stuck there as well. That's the whole point. All the beings who are stuck, who are being forced, it's because they didn't do the job when they were alive. And so they carried all of that pain there, and that pain is unbearable. And they disconnect when they get there instead of taking the journey. This is why all those books of the book of the dead, that we're always trying to prepare us for death, because death is not the end, it's actually the beginning of a long journey you are to take, that your soul is going to take, right? So in Wara Mystery School, this is why our programs are long, because we don't want to give you false ascension. We're not going to give you a one-day workshop and say you are healed, right? We want to teach you how to actually do this process of true ascension. And that is through the middle path, the narrow path, the hard path of responsibility, right? Of sovereignty, where you recognize, I'm actually kind of responsible for all of this. I can't keep blaming the pastor and the sangoma and this for my life not moving. I have to look at it. I have to look at myself, right? And integrity and truth, and the desire to know truth is so important. I so wish you have that. If you're to take something, please have the desire to know the truth of every practice that you are using. What is it? When you're doing these moon rituals, what are you doing? What is the moon really? And why must you do the ritual to the moon? How does it manifest the things for you? Have the curiosity to know what that is before you participate in practices And these practices, by the way, it don't mean that they aren't real, and it don't mean they're not of God, but there are often distortions in a lot of them because we barely ever ask the question, right? So that process that I'm talking about, what I'm inviting you to do is what is called the purification of the Christ. You have to purify yourself so you can see clearly. And it takes some time to learn to purify yourself, to know what is true and what is not true, right? Yes, okay, so yeah, that's it. Do we have any questions? Let me just check. Y'all were commenting here because I went all deep today. Please send me your question in the chat if you have. So in my apprenticeship program, if you are a healer, what I teach you, and I think for healers, this is so vital, because if you're a healer and you are literally doing your healing practice from the Force Ascension, that's really dangerous. This is how we end up literally destroying people's light bodies, subtle bodies, because we're working with false beings that are not nourishing and regenerating to our clients. This is why I created all my programs. I created them because this issue really bothers me so much. Because I see it as there is a force behind it, a cosmic force behind it that wants to keep humanity in ignorance and misunderstanding and confusion, right? And it particularly targets the starseed, the genetic path cutters, the lineage liberators, those of us who are here, because we are so devotional. We love God so much. We love love, and we love light. We love spirituality, and we really just want to bring light to this planet. And that heart of us that is so pure can sometimes miss the mark because of that, right? So if you are maybe thinking, ooh, I may have been in the force up, just know everyone has been there. And it's just part of initiation. But if you're hearing this, you're meant to wake up now, right? And to actually have a very honest conversation with yourself about what are your intentions with your spiritual journey? What are you really trying to achieve? Are you just trying to learn information for the sake of learning information? Which is fine, that's where you are. Or you really want to become an ascended master. You want to ascend. You want to pass your initiation. You actually want to heal yourself. You want to heal your ancestors. You want to heal your lineage. You want to see liberation. You want something new and different in your lineage. You want legacy, right? If that's you, I definitely invite you to check out our offers, and particularly the membership. If you're a beginner and all this is like brand new to you, we created the membership to help you with this, to give you the tools you actually need to truly ascend, right? And if you're a healer, my apprenticeship program is it's a high level intensive where I teach this at a deeper level, and how to actually do ancestral healing, soul healing, inner child healing from the true light of God that is within you, that is the source of your genesis, and that is all around us, all that is the pure essence, right? Yes. Ooh, okay. So someone was asking, when it comes to ancestors and ancestral realm, ancestors actually begin to exist in the realm just above the astral, the true ancestors, just above. But there are some of our ancestors who are in the astral realm. And this doesn't mean we have to be super scared about the possibility that our ancestors are there. But just know that obviously, just like, you have that cousin who may not be in the true path of light, and they're not really taking the right actions in their life, that kind of energy continues also in the spirit realm. So that means when we say we're healing our ancestors, we're healing literally those ancestors who are in the astral realm. So instead of thinking you have to connect with every ancestor, you have to know the difference. There is an ancestor you are to heal, and an ancestor who is going to help you do that, right? So some of your ancestors are in the astral realm. Some of them are in the higher realms. Yes, thank you, everyone. Let me see. Okay. So is it okay to question on and reflect on messages we get? Yes, definitely, 100%. That's what a sovereign being will do. Right now, if you go to a friend of yours and you just share with them a situation that you're going through, and they just share with you what they think you should do, right? You take in what resonates with where you are, and sometimes you're like, I'm not gonna do that. If you are fighting with your beloved and you go tell your friends, they're like, leave him. Do you just go leave him because your friend said so? No. I mean, you can understand why your friend may be pissed off about this, because maybe it's a thing you've been telling her about over and over again. But what you want to do is understand that your friend is not in that relationship. They're not living that life. They are not the one who have to address that karma. So you have to look inside and make the choice yourself. So the same is true with every single spiritual guide, including the true ones. They can come and tell you what to do. But let's also know that in the hierarchies of guides that we have, there are some guides who've never been on earth. So they don't actually know the difficulties of being human. So if they tell you to do something, and it could be from the truth, and they could be seeing the ascended aspect of it, but for you as a human being, that's not going to work for you, because you are here in the trenches, in the pain. So sometimes, you can be like, that's a really great message, but I mean, I need to process it in the context of where I am. My location is here, F, and I got to live with that, right? So this assumption that every message that comes in is pure and we must definitely do it, it's just like guidance from your parents. Your parents can literally tell you, just go to that job. That job is going to be good for you. And sometimes your parents are telling the truth. It will be good for you. You will save, you get insurances and all of that. But sometimes it's just not what your soul needs, and it's not just what you want as well. So we're talking about like sovereignty is that, to know that you still have the choice at the end of the day after you receive the message, right? Okay. Let me see the next one. So what is the purpose of ascension? What does it ultimately serve? Well, so many answers of that, but the purpose of ascension is almost kind of like the purpose of life, or the purpose of the earth experience. We came into the earth experience literally with forgetfulness. We didn't know who we are, and then each one of us, we have to keep learning who we are as we grow, right? That process of learning who you are is ascension. That's the purpose. Like it's life. It's just the experience that we chose to take as souls, right? So the idea is to ascend, to keep knowing more and more and more of the truth of who you are, which as you are discovering, there's so much more. Like what you may be learning could be literally brand new. You're like, I didn't know that, right? And ascension is eventually to master, right? The more you know yourself, the more you can regulate yourself, the more you can make choices that are in alignment with the light and your evolution, that give life to your life, that give you power, that give not power, but like love and light and wisdom, right? So that will be the purpose. So how or what is one meant to do in the earth realm with this enlightenment and ascension? More than anything, you are meant to know the self. And to know the self, and this is a false light idea, false light tells you to obsess about yourself, right? And you get so stuck in your identity as this human, and you want to get the car that you like, you want to get the boyfriend or girlfriend that you like, you want to go to the country and do the job that you like, and you make choices based on this small story of your human personality because you think that's who you are. False light makes you believe your name, your identity is the truth of who you are. Right? This is why they took the spiritual education from us, because by doing that, they disconnected you from knowing yourself as a spirit being, as an eternal being who is so much vaster than your name, your identity, right? Once you know yourself as a vast spiritual being who is on a journey with a purpose, with intention, and a lot of that purpose has to do with creation. You are here to create, co-create with God, right? Co-create experiences that nourish and give light and wisdom to yourself and your lineage and to humanity, right? That when you are on that path, when you become enlightened to that, you start to serve, you are in service to the all, to others, instead of service to the self. And that's one distinct thing about false light being. When a God is constantly focusing on you must get this, you must get this. That is not taking you closer to mastery. A master knows that we are interconnected, that we are one. One action I take is going to ripple out and affect my entire lineage. So I have to make choices responsibly, choices that add more and more. They add life and beauty and abundance to my lineage and to myself in the greater scheme of things. And what does that look like? In my journey, I walked away from a career that could have led to fame, to status, to lots and lots of money, and chose the path of an oracle where I come and teach very difficult concepts to people in the internet. And constantly, like my life, when I think about it from a 3D lens, it's like, not everyone is going to choose this life because it's in service to the all. I didn't serve the part of me that wanted that, I wanted to be at a certain place by the time I was 32 years old. But 6 years ago, I decided I'm going to choose something else. I'm going to choose the spirit energy that's in me. I'm going to be devoted to something greater than myself. That is true ascension. That is true light, because it asks you sometimes to do the thing you don't want to do. It asks you to go against what you were told you're supposed to want, right? So enlightenment, the purpose of enlightenment is service to all, service to God, and God is all. It's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. This is why our ancestors are so intelligent. Like when I was doing psychology, they told us that African people do not have a cosmology. It really used to piss me off when they would say that. But that our cosmology is Ubuntu, right? Which is that, a person is a person because of other people. That's the direct translation in Botswana. But really, it's unity, that we are one. And the reason why Ubuntu has survived and it's in all the different cultures across Africa is because it's literally the fundamental law that kind of collapses all ideologies, and it just kind of puts everything into context. And that's what Ascension is. It's Ubuntu. To recognize that you are one. One action you take will affect your children and your children's children, and that's why we're here doing ancestral healing, because literally a choice that someone made in the 15th century is the reason why people in your family are getting divorced. Come on, that's Ubuntu. That's the unification, right? Okay, I can talk about it. Okay. Okay. So do you think it matters what language you use when you patla or pray? If you are an indigenous person who has an indigenous language, so you see, language is actually really, really beautiful. And it's actually code. Language is code. And your DNA responds to language. You've felt that the way you feel when you listen to a song sang by someone speaking your language, it feels very different for you when compared to listening to someone speaking it like English or another language that is not native to you. Because language speaks to the DNA, it awakens the blood. So the reason why when you patla they say use your language, it is because literally it's a key to unlock your DNA. So does it matter? Does this mean that the ancestors won't hear you if you speak in English? No, it doesn't. But something happens even to you. You felt it. When you pray in your language, something shifts. Your DNA awakens much faster. The quickening is amazing. And also what language does is that language bridges you through time. Right? Like the way that our ancestors used to speak, that aspect of time exists somewhere in the multiverse. So when you start to speak exactly how they used to speak, you literally get pulled into that field. And that's how you can sometimes access ancestral wisdom, because you literally spoke in the same language, right? So it actually matters. There is a mechanics behind it, why you're told to do it in your language. If you do not have access to a native language, of course, you have to use English. Also, we do know that some languages were used to literally create spells and disconnect us and so on, which is why one of the biggest things that they did with colonization is to disconnect us from our languages. Yeah, sure. So yeah, language matters. And in my journey, one of the most interesting experience that I had was my first Nigerian client I had. It was actually someone who I was doing like remote viewing because they had lost something of theirs and they wanted me to find out where the thing is. So I just literally said their name, their full name in Igbo, or it was Yoruba. And literally these Nigerian giants came into the field and they spoke in Yoruba, first of all. I have many friends because I am a literary director of African Dialogue. Not as active, but I am still. So I have a lot of friends from there. So I've listened to them speaking Yoruba, but I can't speak it. But these guys, when they came in, they were speaking Yoruba. What was so fascinating for me was that I understood them, everything. And I would speak to them, obviously, in English, and sometimes maybe even Setswana, and they would respond immediately in Yoruba. And I would know what they were saying. I always thought that was really fascinating. So, yes. That's the thing about language. Okay. So, yes. Thank you, everyone. I hope that today was really helpful. You got a bit of clarity over false ascension. And if you're like really committed to step into your true ascension, yes, the membership enrollment is open. We are enrolled and beginning in May 15th. So currently we're doing assessment interviews. These assessment, I wouldn't even call them that, but like they are literally really to check where you are so that we can support you to the best of our abilities. So if you are really looking to begin this journey, I highly recommend checking out the membership. And if you are a healer, please check out the apprenticeship program because I created that because I know you're out here thinking, I have no idea if I am talking to true ancestors or not. So how do you enroll in the program? If you go to here in this page, there's a link, right? You click it, it will take you to the different links under offerings, and you're looking for the Lineage Liberators membership. If you're looking for your healer apprenticeship program, right? Otherwise, please, you can also just send me a DM and I'll send you the direct link because you're like, I'm so confused by your website, Joy. I don't know where to begin. So I could also just do that. So send me a DM. Okay, thank you, everyone. I hope this was really helpful and you enjoyed. I will see you on Sunday. And on Sunday, I'm going to be doing that live stream with Web Xavier, my partner, who's also co-facilitating the membership with me. So we're going to be talking the Christ Impulse, mostly because I always enjoy how Web speaks about the Christ Impulse. So come join. You've been asking, Joy, why you be talking about Christ? I thought you're all about ancestors. What's going on? Come find out. Okay. Hello, everyone. Okay, bye. Actually, not hello. Good night.